Okay, so for my project on challenges to the current exchange between East Asia and the world in historical and contemporary times, my topic is about the fetishization of Asian people and its contemporary and modern society via K-pop and Korean media. So fetishization by Forbes' definition is defined as making someone an object of sexual desire based on some aspect of their identity. As I think many people know, the fetishization of Asian people has existed for a long time in Western media. And one prime example of this is from the famous play that we read called Madame Butterfly, where we see the main character, Madame Butterfly, being fetishized by Pinkerton. And then the next example where we see fetishization is in the movie M. Butterfly, where it's portrayed as a Chinese spy and a French diplomat, which is actually based on a realistic encounter. So the idea of Western men both sexualizing and fetishizing Asian women is very apparent in Madame Butterfly play in two ways. Well, Pinkerton doesn't see Madame Butterfly as anything serious, and so he fake marries her. But then he leaves her only to come back with his actual wife to collect the son, since the son has unique features. In this example, both the child is sexualized by Pinkerton's actual wife for his unique, beautiful, unique mixed race appearance, and Madame Butterfly is also sexualized by Pinkerton for Oriental qualities. So that's one example. And another example in the movie M. Butterfly, we kind of see that the French diplomat is fetishizing the actress who's actually an actor, and he believes the lies told by the actress stating how kind of Orientals are. And in M. Butterfly especially, the way the actress slash actor kind of portrays Asian women as being kind of quiet, submissive, gentle, but also very modest, which is why the actor doesn't want to take off his clothes because he's actually a man, but he gets away with it by saying, oh, this is how, Oriental people dress, basically. So he's kind of adding to the fetishization of Asian women, which is why the French diplomat believes it. So the fetishization is not only apparent in old Western media, because the play was very famous, the Madame Butterfly play is very famous, but I would argue that it is a continuing major problem in contemporary media. So we kind of see this with Japanese culture. There's been a fetishization of men, Japanese men and women, but I am going to mainly focus on K-pop and K-media because it's more heavily saturated at the moment right now with K-pop and K-media. So we talk a little bit about fetishization in the one of the last lectures when we talk about Korea boos and stalker fans of K-pop and K-idols. So I get the fetishization of Korean men comes from the aesthetics of K-pop. So a lot of crazy fans now, they get obsessed with Korean men because it fits the aesthetic qualities. So they want to find a partner who fits the beautiful aesthetic from K-dramas or K-pop. And by doing this, they kind of dehumanize Korean men, and they make them seem as though they're not real people but they're objects. We also see this in Japanese media too, with famous J-idols. So as far as the Japanese sexualization case, I've noticed that it's mainly comes from manga, instead of Korean coming more from Korea's sexualization coming from K-pop. For instance, there's actually a big sexualization problem of young Japanese girls through anime, and that's kind of how they portray, high school uniforms and how they portray high school girls is kind of being, it's a lot more hypersexualized. But this also happens with a lot of romance manga as well. Like for instance, a really popular manga that I remember when I was younger is called Fall in Love Like a Comic, and it kind of focuses on this high school boy named Tomoya, and the way they portray Tomoya as being this kind of a boyfriend who's just like goes way on and beyond and does everything. He's just caring, compassionate. Well, that kind of archetype is a really popular in a lot of shoujo romance manga, but also the hypersexualization of young Japanese girls through anime is popular in a lot of manga as well as shonen and other shonen. So it's kind of similar. It's just a little turn to modern media now is turned more to female fetishization of Korean men and Asian men, but in the past it was more focused on white men, generalizing East Asian women as, quiet, gentle, but now it's like Korean men are hot, sexy, and stuff, so therefore they're the ones that are kind of experiencing a lot more fetishization, sexualization. And I was going to say that an example of this is how there are many incidents of these so-called fans who are like fetishizing sexualization. They're doing like really extreme things. And one example is that happened in January of 2019 is there's a fangirl with no pants on at an airport, and she was stalking a BTS member in particular, trying to get his attention. So that's one example. But then there's other examples of other really famous bands like EXO where fans will stalk them. And then there's a lot of fans that try to do things like if they think there's a girl who may be into contact with one of their biases, like a guy that they kind of like, they'll go to her house and stalk her, or they'll try to bully her and get information about their because like it's this constant cycle of like, oh, if he can't be with anybody but me. So fans are like delusional. Some fans are. And another thing I wanted to add is that I've seen this firsthand in my own experience with an acquaintance of mine who also majored in Korean language for the wrong reasons, because she had this idea of Korean men and she wanted to marry a Korean guy. And so one instance, for instance, with this acquaintance of mine, we were at a restaurant together on campus, and it was really late at night, and there was a person who waited on us, and he was this young Asian guy, and it was really alarming when she tried to convince me and her to invite the guy who we've never met. This is the first time we met this guy. We didn't even know he was just Asian guy. We didn't even know his background or anything. And she tried to convince him to spend the night with her at her apartment. And this was just a big shock. I realized how immediate the problem of fetishization is, because who's to say that this person couldn't hurt or kill her? So that's another personal experience I've seen with the fetishization of Korean men. But it ties in general with the fetishization of Asian men right now. But it comes from historical ties, and it continues on to more modern ties, basically. So this is the end of my project on the fetishization and sexualization of Asian men and women historically, and how it ties into more modern and current pop culture media in East Asia.